Hello and welcome back to Arubakes. Since we've been doing lots of British classics lately, a Victoria sponge cake had to be on this list. It's a soft vanilla cake that's layered with strawberry jam and whipped cream. Yum! So let's get straight into it. Before making the cake, always line your cake pan and set it aside. It makes life lots easier. Simply fold your baking paper into a cone shape like this. Make sure it's about an inch or so longer than the radius of your cake pan. Cut a few slits, and then once you open it up, it should fit perfectly. Set this aside and measure out the dry ingredients. Now this is a very basic version of a Victoria sponge cake that we're making today. That's easy for anyone to make, but I will be doing a slightly more advanced version of this soon on this channel as well. Measure out the flour, baking powder and salt, and then sift this into a bowl. Always use cake flour for a softer textured cake. Set this aside. Now add the sugar into the bowl of your stand mixer. To this add salted butter. Make sure that it's at room temperature, and then go in with the vanilla paste. Get this mixing on a medium speed with a paddle attachment for a few minutes until the batter starts to turn a slightly pale color. To this, then start pouring in your eggs, a little at a time. If you've been here a while, you know that I always prefer to crack all the eggs into a cup, break it up with a fork, and then pour it into the batter a little at a time, rather than going in with a whole egg at a time into the batter. I find that you get a fluffier batter this way. Another very important thing when beating a batter is to scrape down your bowl at least twice, to make sure that there aren't any lumps of butter or sugar sitting at the bottom of the bowl. I usually scrape down the bowl once before starting to add the eggs, and then halfway through adding the eggs. And if it feels like there still might be unmixed bits, then I will scrape the bowl down a third time as well. Once all your eggs have been incorporated into the batter, start folding in the flour by hand. This way you don't end up knocking out too much of the air that you incorporated into the batter when you were beating in the eggs. Be gentle. Add about a large spoonful of the flour at a time. Gently fold this into the batter and then add the next spoonful in. Once you have added in all the flour, then give it a quick mix that's not so gentle to make sure everything is very well mixed through. Dab a bit of the batter onto the side of the baking pan and stick the baking paper onto the pan. This way you know it won't move around or fold into the batter and get baked into the cake. Then pour the batter into the pan, even it out using the back of the spoon, and then pop this in a preheated oven and bake at 170 Celsius for about 45 to 50 minutes or so. Check on the cake at the 30-minute mark. If it's still a little wobbly and not firm to the touch, then it needs more baking time. When you think the cake is done, the best way to really make sure is to insert a skewer into the center. If it comes out clean like this, then your cake is baked through. And then you can take it out of the oven and let it cool down. While your cake is cooling down, whip up your fresh cream. Make sure to wash your bowl very well with some warm water to get rid of any grease. Dry it and then whip up the cream. If there's any grease on your bowl or whisk, your cream won't whip up nice and fluffy. Pour the ice cold cream into the bowl and start whipping this with a whisk attachment. Start off on a medium speed and then increase to high to make sure that you don't splash cream everywhere. I like to add in a few tablespoons of sugar just to sweeten the cream a little. Whip it until it thickens and holds its shape, and then you're done. Keep this in the fridge until you are ready to use. By this time, the cake should have had about 10 minutes to cool down in the baking pan itself. Release the sides of the cake from the tin and then take it out. Slice off the domed bit on top. FYI, for me, this is the yummiest part of the cake and it's best eaten warm. Then slice the cake in half along the middle and let it fully cool down. Like fully cool down. I was a bit impatient and losing light to film, so I rushed it a bit and I found that the jam kind of melted and didn't sit well in the middle and poured out onto the sides. Still delicious, just a little messy. Pop the cooled cake topside down on your serving dish. Then spoon a generous amount of strawberry jam in the middle. Spread it out into an even thick layer. Then spoon about 2/3 of the fresh cream in the center and then pop the cake layer on top. Spoon the remaining fresh cream in the middle of the top layer. Decorate it with some fresh strawberries and finish off this Victoria sponge cake with a light dusting of icing sugar. Chill for about 30 minutes for everything to set and then cut into it and enjoy this light, refreshing and absolutely delicious British classic, a Victoria sponge cake. Subscribe to Arubakes so that you don't miss out on any of these recipes, including the fancier version of this Victoria sponge cake that I will be doing soon. Bye!